Ambien, and a god. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report was sent in by Anvik. When this happened, September of 2019. The drugs used, Ambien CR, are specifically known as Zolpidem, Benztropine, Olanzapine, and Lurasidone. At a dose of 375 milligrams of Ambien, 40 milligrams of Benztropine, 60 milligrams of Olanzapine, and 80 milligrams of Lurasidone, with the route of administration being orally. Gender, male. Weight, 146 pounds, are 66.234 kilograms. Age, 20. Height, 5'11", are 180.34 centimeters. His prior experience includes N2O, nicotine, caffeine, weed, 25I N-bomb, 25C N-bomb, alcohol, 2CE, salvia, Adderall, Norco, Valium, Ativan, Xanax, gabapentin, morphine, cocaine, codeine, oxycodone, MDMA, LSD, 2CB, Ambien, DMT, ketamine, 2FDCK, DXM, meth, diclazepam, and shrooms. Any notes? Those are listed in order from the first drug I've tried to now, age 7 to 20, and I'm leaving out most psych meds that I've tried because I couldn't remember them all. And for the set, this is pretty big too, so for his mental health, we know he is schizoaffective bipolar type 1, has ADHD, panic disorder, insomnia, and PTSD, with his medication at the time being Latuda, 80 milligrams in the morning for schizo, Benztropine, 4 milligrams in the morning for akathisia, Ambien CR, 12.5 milligrams for his insomnia, and then Ritalin, 20 milligrams 2 times a day for his ADHD. And the setting, in Michigan, at night while raining until the morning, starting at his grandmother's house. So in this report, we're definitely stepping foot in a different direction. Not only are a handful of substances being introduced with this experience, but Anvik is coming in with a somewhat wide list of mental health effects that most likely played a strong role in this experience. The Ambien, though, seems to have played the strongest role in this experience, with 375 milligrams being a huge dose, and the effects experienced could very well just fall under the effects of Ambien. But even so, everything congested and experience prior leading up to this led the experience to be what it is. And the experience is kind of a unique mindfuck, just saying. So I won't say any more. I'm sure you guys are going to like this one. So without further ado, let's dive right into this. This evening was like any other night, except I was just put back on Ambien extended release that I just picked up for my chronic insomnia. I hadn't had anything weird happen before, besides the normal not remembering to go to sleep, but these 2 days is unlike anything I've ever expected. So that night, I took my Ambien as prescribed, and it blacked me out, which, for some reason, that still fucks with me. The thing is, I took the whole bottle, the whole fucking bottle, 30 tablets altogether. I'm not exactly sure of the time frame of when I took them all, but I did. What I remember is this. I got a message from a friend saying they were going to pick me up and that we were all going to a corn maze. They get to my house and we drive for what feels like 20 plus minutes. We get there and we all go into the corn maze. I almost instantly lose track of where they were. I start to panic and look frantically for them. I stumble upon these creatures that rode on massive black horses that were trying to kill me for reasons I'm not sure about. But I ran in crazy fear and with the desperation to live to get out of this maze. I start to hear and see other monster/creature beings. Some were trying to help me and others that helped the horsemen. After what felt like a couple hours of running away from all of these things, I come across a little wooden bridge and hop into a wooded creek with walls of brush on both sides. It started to rain, and the creek I was now in was now flooding on behalf of the horsemen. Me and tons of other beings were now going to die if we didn't get out now. After some more running and panicking, some of the creatures were telling me to get out of the maze. I needed to climb up the corn stalks, just like they could, to see a way out. Obviously I couldn't do it, but I tried my heart out many of times. It was about this time that black crows were trying to have me drink rainwater that slid off the corn leaves. I so desperately needed a drink, I cried when they weren't helping. It wasn't long till the bad creatures found me again, and so I left. I ran, but this time was swinging my arms as hard and as fast as I could at the corn rows on both sides of me, hoping to knock them in the way of things trying to kill me. Couldn't tell you how many times that knocked me over. I stopped hearing things behind me, chasing me, and I looked back. There was nothing, and I noticed that somehow my boots weren't on my feet anymore, and my sweatshirt was just gone too. To me it wasn't a problem, and that they just fell off sometime when I was running. After a minute, I calmed down. There were these tall, big black cloaked beings that seemed like they were trying to protect something from getting out, and that I was not to go down the roads they were protecting. After some wandering, I see some people that are walking into a wooded area, and me desperately wanting to find my way out, I try and follow them. As soon as I get into the woods, there's about 8 to 9 people. Some I know, some I didn't, but they all had guns pointed at me and 2 others. After a few minutes of not knowing what to do, the person next to me motioned with his hands in a way that told me to turn around, and so I did. There was a god. It was a deer person that's fur was different shades of green and patched like camo. Its eyes were nothing like I've ever seen, as I wore a black/gold/red cloaked hood. Once I looked at it, my brain was in an almost telepathic connection, and I got the message I was to do what the god was doing or to be shot in the head. After a few, I couldn't do this thing where I was supposed to wrap corn leaves around my neck and be on like one leg while having another corn leaf drooped over my face. This was it. I was gonna die. I closed my eyes and just thought. I eventually got the courage to just turn and run. I make it up the hill to the middle of the field sprinkler. I start to yell and scream for help, but it sounded like I was in a box and no one could hear me. I spot some of my friends walking and I run to chase them, but just couldn't catch up. The whole time I was running and them walking. I catch up to them and now there's just 5 white ducks. I have another panic attack and climb the sprinkler again, and finally found my way to the road. A sheriff drives past me, and I waved him down. At that point, it was 6:34 a.m., and it was 38 degrees Fahrenheit and raining. I get an ambulance called and was put into the ER for hypothermia, contusions in my left arm, and delirium. My grandma gets to the hospital and told me that I left around 9:30 that night, and I left my shoes and jacket at home, and I wasn't missing anything but meds. I stayed about a week in the psych hospital, and the first 3 days I couldn't trust myself to tell the difference on who and whom wasn't real. This experience has changed my life, and I'm not sure if it's in a good or bad way yet. Be careful and safe. These medications can and will kill. And I did meet that God.